bring out John Scott. We queued it up with Kenny Chesney from Tennessee. John Scott played college golf at Tennessee. He's also our Mid-Atlantic PGA Teacher of the Year, and I know he's really excited to be here tonight. So, John Scott, the floor is yours.
All right, thanks, Jay. So it's great to virtually be with Congressional today here at Congressional Studios in our first Congressional Academy. So I'm really excited to kind of connect with you guys and talk about something that's really important to me, solid contact. You know, when I'm talking about solid contact, I'm really talking about our iron play going into the greens where we're hitting it close, we're hitting it solid, and it's more fun to play that way. So solid contact, when the data shows that when you hit more greens in regulation, like, you're going to play better golf. It doesn't do us any good when you're making a one putt, holing out for 6. So with solid contact, the first thing I want to do here is dispel some myths that I hear on the lesson tee a lot. I've never had someone come into a lesson saying, John Scott, I'm hitting it too solid. I'm hitting it so off the middle of the face. I'm hitting it so solid, I just can't take it. So let's dispel some myths real quick before we get into some of the content. So one of the first things I hear is keep your head down. You have to keep your head down to hit it really solid. So keeping your head down really long in the golf swing, and we'll get into this as we go into some impact drills. When we keep our head down so long, it restricts our ability to rotate our torso. It really encourages our elbows to bend, our wrists to get into a bad position, and then what you'll learn tonight, it's really going to shorten the arc and the width of the club head at impact. That's like a death move through the ball. So there's no keeping the head down anymore. The second myth is you have to hit down on it to really make good contact. Now, and we'll take you through this too, is that in the best players in the world, their hands are actually moving up at impact while the club head's moving down. Their hands, if you measured the path of their hands versus their club head, their hands are actually moving higher when they make contact with the ball as the club's moving down. There's no conscious, all right, I got to hit down really hard on it to take a divot. All right, so we have 2 myths down, 2 more to go. All right, the next one is I have to take my hands out of the golf swing. In my time spending on the PGA Tour the last year coaching a player out there, I've heard the best players in the world talk how often they use their hands in their swing. If I can teach you to use your hands the correct way, you're going to be okay. But if you use them the incorrect way, you're not going to want to use them. So the best players in the world, they're actively using their hands. So I'm going to take you through that tonight as well. And the last one's about lag. I hear this quite a bit, and it looks really good in a static picture to have, you know, this big angle between your left arm, your lead arm, and the club head. That's actually very detrimental to your swing in the downswing. It makes the club face really open. You don't have enough time to create so much lag. You don't have enough time to get from that position to the ball and square the face up consistently. It just doesn't work. So I've told you what the best players are not doing. So what do? They hit the ball solid off the middle of the face while hitting the ground in the right spot every time. They're able to control their divot and the dynamic loft in their swing. So we're really lucky at the club. We have 3 TrackMan, I think, and I use one in every lesson. It has different measurements for us. It's giving us a measurement of the attack angle, and it's giving a measurement of the low point of the swing. So the attack angle is measured in degrees. So the best players in the world, what they're saying is the lowest point of their swing is happening 8 inches past the ball. In amateurs, their lowest point of the swing is happening at the ball or before it. So it's going to look like this angle, where the grip is in front of the club head. It's called shaft lean. The best players in the world, they create shaft lean through impact. They do it by some of their body orientations. A lot of it they do with how they're using their wrists. So we're going to understand a couple movements here in how our body moves and how our arms move before we get started, okay? So first, and I encourage you to do this at home if you want, but you hold your arms straight out like this, straight out to the side, and we're going to go through a couple movements. If I put my hands to the ground like this and I arch my wrist, that's called flexion. I go up, it's called extension. So you have flexion and extension. Okay, flexion and extension. So and then your wrists, if you hinge them and you have like wrist hinge, ulnar and radial deviation. Then you have supination and pronation. So those movements, that's pretty much what's going to happen in the swing during the downswing. Okay, so you're going to go through all sorts of those positions. What we're going to know is like the best players in the world, they're going from a flexion, or like you're driving a motorcycle is a cue I like to use, or a jet ski. They're going from flexion in their left wrist, and then it's really flexed at impact. When they're doing that, their hands are moving up, and they're able to control the low point of their swing really well and control their dynamic loft. So they can hit a high shot, low shot, a ball that's curving to the right, to the left, anything they want to do from that. So we're going to go through today going how to use our wrists and our hands the correct way in our downswing, okay? So when I go and I have all of this flexion in my wrist and I create a good impact position, that's going to lead to a really wide swing arc through impact, okay? So now we're going to be encouraged to create some of those great characteristics of some of the best players in the world, okay? So let's go through a couple drills here, okay? So first we're going to talk about how the body and how the hands are working in swing. So we're going to preset impact, and I'm going to demonstrate face on for you. Presetting impact. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to get our weight on our left foot. We're going to open our hips, open our shoulders, and get our hands just a little bit forward at impact. So we're going to start in this position, and I'm going to hit a couple shots for us. So I have an 8-iron here. I encourage you to do it with some loft. I would not do it with like a 3 or 4 iron or a driver. All right, so my weight's on my left foot, my hips are open, my hands forward. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make small practice swings from that preset position. I'm going to rock back and just try to get into a short position. And I'm going to go through it a couple times for us. So weight left, hips open, chest open, and hands forward. Rock back and hit small shots like that. So the key part here is when you're done, you want to be able to check your finish where your left wrist has an arch to it, so it has the right amount of angle. The toe of the club has a little release to it. The club head is below my hands, my chest is nice and tall. That's the finished position you're trying to get into. Demonstrate.
Scott, real quick,
Yep.
Is that for every club, driver, irons?
These are all for like your approach shots with, I would say you're not doing it necessarily with like a pitch shot around the green, so I would say outside of 60, 70 yards. Same with the driver. So we're going to preset impact again, and we're going to go through this drill again. My weight's on my left foot, hips open, hands forward, presetting impact, rock back, and just hold my finish. As I'm doing this, I'm really actively trying to turn this left hand to the ground like I'm riding that motorcycle as hard as I can through impact and holding off on it. And you can see here, this is probably why I'm not one of the best players in the world. My low point, it's measuring it, it's saying 3.0 inches after impact is when my low point is. If you had a PGA Tour player or a really good ball striker, they're somewhere in the 6s and 7s there. So I'm going to preset impact. I'm going to do this a couple times. Okay. Once you get the hang of it, you don't have to preset impact anymore, but you're going to keep the length of the swing really short, okay? So instead of presetting it, now I'm going to make like a 9-3 swing, trying to get into that same position, okay? So if you've had a lesson with me, you know I love drills, and you know I love to provide the student with feedback. So I'm trying to think of something we can all do at home. So I just have a clothes hanger here. I've taped it on the grip so it won't move so much. But this is going to give us a lot of feedback in how our left arm and our left wrist should move through the swing and the downswing. So I'm going to make swings. You can see it's resting against my arm. I'm going to make that same impact drill. And I'm just going to make sure this rests against my arm the whole time. So it's going to give me feedback on how my wrist is moving in the swing. So you can see when I'm done, I would rather you err on this side where it's too rotated. I would never, ever, ever want you to hit a shot where it's touching your right forearm. That's like a bunker shot. So think about it. We learned earlier, the best players in the world, they have shaft lean at impact. If you're not doing it correctly, this hanger is going to hit your right forearm. That ball's going to go really high. The low point of the swing is going to happen before the ball. If this is you, like if you don't know if you're doing this, like you're going to like the first cut of rough maybe a little bit better than the fairway. You're not going to like downslopes very much. You might like your driver better than your 6-iron. But this is a great tool to give yourself feedback on how your left wrist should work. I wouldn't do full swings with this. We're going to go just 9-3, or my shot's going around 50 yards here. So I'm going to really try to actively, I'm starting it right on my backswing. I'm starting to get this hanger to hit my left forearm. And if you err on one side, I want you to err where it's going to hook too much, and you can see the ball plate's going to go way left on that one.
John Scott, real quick, question on ball position. And for those members at home that want to text in a question, the number is 505-795-1787. Ball position, where are you playing this? You've got an 8-iron.
Middle of my stance. I'm going right in the middle of my stance here. So what I don't want to do, I would never want to cheat and get that ball way back in my stance. What that's going to do is if I get it way back in my stance and I'm going to try to hit down on it and flex my wrist the way I'm trying to get you guys to do it, if I do that, I'm in big trouble. I'm creating like almost zero dynamic loft, and the club's going to hit the ground with probably a 12 or 13 attack angle. That's like, you can't hit that many shots with that. That would be a shot you would want to hit under the trees or something, but not a stock shot you'd hit into the green. All right, so last one with the hanger, and we'll get into our next drill. So I'm going to actively put the hanger on my left wrist. Small finish, make sure it's still touching. At no point in the swing did the hanger come off my wrist. All right, so next one, I have a nice towel here. I'm going to roll it up. It's probably going to be an inch high. I'm going to put it probably 1 foot in front of where I'm going to hit. So what this is going to do, I just want to create feedback for where the club's hitting the ground. So the goal here is to hit the ball and hit the towel at the same time, right? So the ball's going to go a little bit lower than you would want because the towel's going to get in the way. What I don't want, and what you would typically see from a higher handicapper, is they would hit the ball and the towel would never move. So this is what we're trying to avoid here. So my low point here is going to be, it's going to give me a V here, 3.7 inches before impact. So what I want us to do is to take that impact drill. So I'm going to preset my hips, get my shaft to be in front of the ball, and I'm going to hit a small shot, and I'm going to hit the ball and then keep the club close to the ground so it hits the towel. It'll look something that way. Okay? So these 3 drills are going to help you key into the characteristics that create really, really solid contact. Preset impact, my hands are forward, I'm going to rock back, and make sure I hit the towel. So practicing with feedback is such a huge asset to you as a player. There's so many times where I'm in a lesson and someone's going to say, well, I feel like I'm trying to do what you're asking me to do, but the ball's not working the way we want it to work. Well, most of the time it's they're not doing the drill enough. So in all of these drills, I'm trying to give you feedback of if the towel doesn't move, then you didn't do the drill right. If the hanger's off of the forearm, you didn't do the drill right. So I'm trying to provide feedback. All right, so those drills are very advantageous for hitting the ground in the right spot. So then we got to talk about the other element of hitting in the middle of the face. So I have some Dr. Scholl's spray here, found in my house, but the cool part about what Dr. Scholl's spray does is it's going to tell us where our contact is. TrackMan's going to tell us that what determines ball flight is 80% determined by where the club face is pointed at impact, and probably 15 to 20% of where the path is. Where you hit it on the face is greatly going to influence where the ball is going to go. Something called gear effect. So if you hit it on the toe of the club, face is going to twist open. You hit it on the heel, the face is going to twist closed. So it's really important that we train hitting it on the middle of the face. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go back to that impact position. And I'm going to hit some shots, and I'm going to try to see where I'm hitting it off the club face. So high off the toe, you guys can see on the camera, high off the toe. And I'm going to try to gain a pattern. I'm going to hit 4 or 5 of these. And I'm going to try to see if I come up with any consistent shots. High off the toe again. So what you're going to see in your really experienced players, you're going to see the contact really be in the same spot most of the time. When you start seeing contact heel, toe, all over the place, we know we got some trouble. But training this is super important. All right, finally found the middle there. So once I use the face spray, what I'm going to do, I'm going to explore trying to hit it off of different parts of the club face. I'm going to spray it again so we can all see this.
Closer.
So I'm going to show this again here. Let the spray dry a little bit. I'm going to explore. The drill would be called exploring where the face is, exploring where the contact is. I'm going to actually purposely hit the ball off the toe of the club, then one off the middle, and then one off the heel. I'm going to try to do it on purpose, and then you'll know kind of what's right. So this one, I'm going to try to hit this one way off the toe of the club. Preset impact. So you can see way off the toe with the club. I'm going to do this one again. I'm going to try to hit this one off the heel. So, presetting impact, I'm going to try to hit it off the heel. So now I have the toe and the heel. And I'm going to try to find the middle here. So the drill is like kind of like Goldilocks. A little too much, not enough, and then just the right amount. So I'm going to go for the middle here. Oh man, I can't believe I did it. First try. So right in the middle. So that drill, and you're exploring how the club hits the ground, combining that with how it hits the face, that's how you train solid contact.
I got a couple questions, John Scott, on weight distribution at setup, where your weight is throughout the swing and coming through, and then another question too on swing and how that's going to play into solid contact and what when we sway, how much harder is it to hit the ball solid?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So again, there's different factors that control where the bottom of the swing is going to happen. So if my weight's on my back foot at impact, the bottom of the swing is more than likely going to be behind the ball, right? So in the drill, I'm going to separate that question into two answers really. In the drill, you're setting up, I'm probably 75% of weight on my front foot. What I'm not doing is my head's not really in front of the ball. I'm just presetting my pelvis and my weight on my front foot, and then I'm rotating my hips. In the swing, my weight's on my front foot, probably 75 or 80%, but in the drill, it's dynamic. I'm not just hanging out on my left side. I'm presetting impact, and then there's a slight rock back to my right foot, and then I get in there again, and then I hold my finish. It's a great question. Like, you want it to be dynamic. You don't obviously just want to stay on your left side, but again, going back to what we know causes like really good ball striking, or what some of the factors are good ball striking is that low point of the swing's got to happen way past the ball. So if I get my weight over there, yes, I want my pressure on my left foot. I don't want my mass way in front of the ball. It's a great question. So back to exploring the club face. So I've hit one off the toe, I've hit one off the heel, and I've hit it off the middle. From there, I'm just going to try to hit some solid shots again, trying to find the middle of the club face. It's a really hard drill to do, but it's really good to explore what even the toe of the club feels like. So often, especially if you're in a lesson with me, I'm going to ask you, where did you hit that one off the club face? Did you hit it off the heel, the toe, thin, heavy? Those are questions that the best players in the world, they're asking that. They don't even know they're doing it, but their subconscious is working that way. So I'm trying to train you to work that way in your feedback. So if you're hitting it off the toe and the heel, you know how to fix it. So impact drill, small finish. Okay, so this last one is one of my favorite drills to do. And if you're a shanker, if you ever hit the occasional shank, this one's for you. But we're going to set up two balls, and we're going to set up the correct distance from the inside ball. Okay? Move it a little closer. We're going to set up the correct distance from the inside ball, and we're going to make full swings here. We're not going to go to impact drills, but the correct distance from the inside ball. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the club head to the outside ball. I'm not going to move my feet to go with it. Set up the correct distance from the inside ball. Move the club to the outside ball. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit and make contact with the inside one. It'll look something like this. So what's going to happen here is you're going to start seeing the direction the club's going to come at impact. Set up to the inside ball. Move my hands to the outside ball. At no point in time is the club head ever allowed to go outside your target line. If this is my intended target line, at no point is the club allowed to come on that side of the target line. That's the death move. That's a heel shot all day long. Okay? So if you're hitting it off the heel, this is a great drill for you. So set up normal to the inside ball. Put my club at the outside ball. So the incorrect way, what you would do is if you hit both balls, the incorrect way, on the downswing, the club would come outside of the intended shot, and I'd make contact way off the heel. Okay? So one more rep here. Inside ball, set up to the outside ball. All right, and then make contact with the inside ball. So we've gone over some really key concepts this evening. We've gone over how our hands are supposed to work in the swing. We're going from flexion at impact. Our right wrist is an extension at impact. So preset that. Go in front of a mirror at home, preset the left wrist, preset that right wrist, get your body a little bit open, and just make small swings from there. You know how the hands are going to move, and the body is going to respond to that. Like, human movement is controlled by what your hands are doing. If these guys work correctly, your body's going to react to it. So then we've gone through how to hit it more solid on the clip face. We have Dr. Scholl's spray, we have the inside to outside drill, and then you have exploring the clip face. So those are all things we can do to hit it more solid. So I want to open this up to some questions if anyone has.
Yeah, we've got a couple. One good one came in, really good one. What's the right mix between practice drills and actually just hitting balls? Like, should you be working on drills the whole time, or should you, talk us through a practice routine? You go out to the range, you've got, say, 30 minutes to practice. What does that look like with drills, and what should you be working on?
That's a great question, and I think the short answer is it depends. Like, if you're going to go play that day, that in the 30 minutes of practice is your warm-up before you go play, I would be working on something that's going to get you in a good rhythm, get your body moving the right way. I wouldn't get into something new or technical at that point. Let's say you have a tournament in a month, and you're really gearing up for like the club championship. What I would be doing would be, like, the first 2 weeks, it would be 60-40 in a block versus a random practice, throwing in some games and some playing with it. The closer you get to the tournament, the more you want to be in a random practice mindset. Like, a great example, on the PGA Tour on Wednesday, most of the people aren't even playing. They're playing because they have to play in a Pro-Am. The Masters is supposed to be this week, and there's so many good interviews with Tiger on it, and he talks about what he did in prep for the Masters last year. And he didn't even play on Wednesday. There was a rain out. He didn't even play on Wednesday. He chipped and putted on Sunday afternoon. So it's not like you're out there beating balls all the time, but they're using their time wisely. They're getting their work done the farthest away from the golf course in the tournament, and then bringing it back in.
Yeah, this is fun for me because I get to ask, I admire so much about your golf game, and I get to ask you questions in front of the audience here. But distance between yourself and the ball, how do you determine how far away you are from the ball when you set up?
Great check for that. That's another really good question. A great check for that is, if I take my normal setup, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take, this is for a right-handed golfer, I'll take my right hand off the club, and I want to be able to swing it here without hitting the butt end of the grip. If I'm standing too close and I do that, what you're going to do is you're going to see the person go like, oh, I got to move the grip to create room. Or you go here and you're too far, and now you see too much space. So that's one quick check. Another one, again, for a right-hander, you take your right hand off, should have almost a hand width in there. It's a great check. So tips, you can use like where the club's hitting, or where the ball's hitting the club face to answer that too a little bit. Usually too close is on the heel and too far away is on the toe for that.
Yeah, one of the things I admire about your golf swing, I've seen you hit balls a little bit, is your posture and your stability. So can you just talk for a minute or two on just the proper posture? Because I think it's a great example for members. I see so many swings that go wrong because of either the wrong posture, and then also just the stability factor. They just get, their ground floor where their feet are, they just get moving a little bit, and we talk about solid contact, and those two things are probably so important, and didn't want to miss them tonight.
Yeah, so another great question. So posture is actually something I work on, like, just in an everyday setting, and it applies to your golf swing as well. So the way I would describe it is, if you stand up nice and tall, like, I want my shoulders to be behind my ears. What I don't want is to have like a big rounded move, like I'm on a keyboard or I'm in an office or I'm texting on my phone and my shoulders are really rounded. So what I like to do is to get my shoulders to go all the way up, down, and back. And I do that a couple times. And so it's going to feel like my rib cage is out and my chest is out. So it's going to get my shoulder joints in the right spot. So something really cool you can do at home would be to get your shoulders to go up, down, and back. And you do that a couple times. And you're going to put your elbow right by your side. And what you're going to see here is, when the shoulder joint is in the right position relative to your rib cage, you're going to gain a lot of mobility and external rotation. If my shoulder is like really in front of where it sits in the rib, and I try to do that same movement, like this isn't a magic trick, this is just how your body works. You have half of the amount of rotation. That can create a lot of different movements in how your arm's supposed to move in the backswing. So like my goal for my swing, just in my posture, is I'm trying to get my right shoulder in particular to go down and back behind my rib cage. So I'm like grabbing the club under the ribs so it sits better. My tendency would be to get my arm almost over my my ribs like this. So I'm trying to like open up my rib cage so I'm allowed to move better. So I think that would be a great cue for most people would be like, I want you to feel, I'm 5'10", I want you to feel like you have space between your shoulders and your ears, and you're a little bit taller than you normally are, and then you set up to the ball with like a nice, like big wide rib cage.
Okay, I think we've got time for just one final question. And what an awesome, I get so many great texts on, and you've done an awesome job here. Just last question is, when you either are at home or you get to the driving range, what are you doing from a stretching standpoint, a physical standpoint, to just get your body ready to play golf?
You know, like my answer to that might not be a popular answer. Like the best stretch you can do for a golf swing would be a ballistic stretch, meaning like if I'm trying to turn more in my backswing, like I'm physically going to go here and I'm going to turn, and like I'm going to do it in the movement. There's no special like stretch you can do like that's going to change that, and then it's going to correlate to the golf course. What I would do is I would get your heart rate up a little bit. I would work on any like specific problem areas. For me, it's my shoulder, so I have some shoulder stuff that I would do. But it's really 5 or 10 minutes. I'm really using my golf swing to warm up more than I'm going to the gym or doing a full workout to warm up. So, all good? Okay, awesome. Thank you guys so much. Thanks for letting us connect with you. We look forward to seeing you at the club soon, and we look forward to catching up. Thank you.